Amendment offered by Mr. Engel of New York. At the end of the bill, before the short title, insert the following section. None of the funds made available by this act may be used by the Department of Defense to lease or purchase new light-duty vehicles for any executive fleet or for an agency's fleet inventory, except in accordance with Presidential Memorandum Federal Fleet Performance, dated May 24th, 2011.
Gentleman from New York is recognized for 5 minutes on his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, on May 24th, President Obama issued a memorandum on federal fleet performance, which requires all new light-duty vehicles in the federal fleet to be alternate fuel vehicles, such as hybrid, electric, natural gas, or biofuel, by December 31st, 2015. My amendment echoes the presidential memorandum by prohibiting funds in the Defense Appropriations Bill from being used to lease or purchase new light-duty vehicles, except in accord with the President's memorandum. I've introduced similar amendments to the Homeland Security Appropriations Bill and the Agriculture Appropriations Bill, and intend to do it with other appropriations bills. Both were accepted by the majority and passed by voice vote. Our transportation sector is by far the biggest reason we send $600 billion per year to hostile nations to pay for oil at ever-increasing costs. But America doesn't need to be dependent on foreign sources of oil for transportation fuel. Alternative technologies exist today that, when implemented broadly, will allow any alternative fuel to be used in America's automotive fleet. The federal government operates the largest fleet of light-duty vehicles in America. According to GSA, there are over 660,000 vehicles in the federal fleet, with almost 197,000 being used by the Department of Defense. By supporting a diverse array of vehicle technologies in our federal fleet, we'll encourage development of domestic energy resources, including biomass, natural gas, coal, agricultural waste, hydrogen, and renewable electricity. Expanding the role these energy sources play in our transportation economy will help break the leverage over Americans held by foreign government-controlled oil companies, and will increase our nation's domestic security and protect consumers from price spikes and shortages in the world oil markets. I ask my colleagues to support this amendment, as both sides of the aisle have done in previous bills. And I want to mention, on a similar note, I've worked in a bipartisan fashion with my colleagues John Shimkus, Roscoe Bartlett, and Steve Israel to introduce the bipartisan Open Fuel Standard Act, H.R. 1687. Our bill would require 50% of new automobiles in 2014, 80% in 2016, and 95% in 2017 to be warranted to operate on non-petroleum fuels in addition to or instead of petroleum-based fuels. Compliance possibilities include the full array of existing technologies, including flex fuel, natural gas, hydrogen, biodiesel, plug-in electric drive, and fuel cell, and a catch-all for new technologies. I mention it because it's similar to this, and I really believe that our energy policies obviously can only be done on a bipartisan basis. I encourage my colleagues to support this amendment, again, as we've done on all the other bills where I've introduced it, and the open fuel standard as we work toward breaking our dependence on foreign oil. And I yield back.
Back his time. Further discussion on the amendment? What purpose does the gentleman from Florida rise?
Mr. Chairman, I move to strike the last word.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
I think the gentleman's amendment is a good amendment, and I think we've seen this on other bills, and I'm happy to accept the amendment. I do yield.
I appreciate the gentleman's willingness to accept the amendment, and I, too, think it's a good amendment, a good idea. So I yield back to the gentleman.
I yield back.
The gentleman yields back his time. Is there further discussion? If not, the question is on the amendment offered by the gentleman from New York. As many as are in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. Opinion of the chair is the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to.